away from the farm for the day. It worked. At the end of the day, I paid Solo $40 and asked him where he wanted to go. Home, he told me. To Ghana. Solo's master figured out what was going on and sent me a text threatening to have me arrested. Solo was trying to figure out a way home when we got separated. But the slave... Days later, I learned Solo was back on the cocoa farm. Was he captured and taken back? Maybe. But it's more likely that he looked at the opportunities before him and chose to go back. Solo chose slavery. When I learned Solo was back on the farm, I worried what repercussions he may have suffered from my actions. I acted. I did something, but I wish I had done nothing. Good intentions aren't enough. It's the results those intentions produce that matter. I regretted not acting to help the girl at the dump. I regretted helping Solo. I was a recent college grad when I met the man who made my favorite T-shirt outside the factory in Honduras where he worked. It was awkward. The T-shirt cost nearly as much as a day of his labor. There I was, skipping around the globe, and there he was in a sea of workers with a chain-link fence and a long work-day at his back, kind enough to stop and chat with me, puzzled as the security guard at the front gate had been. Why was I there? A degree in anthropology had inspired my curiosity, and I left the flat fields of the Midwest to meet people who lived differently than I did. I'd save up money working a retail job or as a scuba instructor, and then I'd blow it all traveling. I started to write about my travels and would get paid a whopping $10 from publications for stories like spending the night alone in Castle Dracula in Romania. I could go anywhere in the world and have adventures worth writing about. It was the world's most expensive hobby. I was looking for that next place to go, and my favorite T-shirt had a funny picture of a guy from a TV show in the early 1980s, and these words, "Come with me to my tropical paradise." So, I thought, why not? I put on the shirt and showed up at the factory, half expecting the factory management to laugh at the randomness and silliness of it all and throw open the factory gates. They didn't, so I waited to the side of the factory to meet someone who possibly made my shirt. When Amilcar stopped to talk with me, the randomness and the silliness faded, replaced by awkwardness and questions from a forgotten sociology course. Does this job provide a better life for you and your family? What are you paid? Is this one of those sweatshops? Of course, I didn't ask any of these questions. I think deep down I didn't really want to know. Amilcar and I were the same age, but our lives were vastly different. I was traveling on a whim, following my curiosity wherever it led, and he was working in the factory that made my T-shirt. I looked at myself through his eyes as I had once looked at myself through the eyes of a beggar in Nepal, and I saw the privileges and opportunities of my own life. I wrestled with the fact that people make the clothes we wear and we have it made. I went to Cambodia, where my jeans were made, and while there I met the girl. I wondered what life was like for her and other rural farmers who were leaving the fields for factories, and I traveled around the world to meet farmers. That's when I met Solo on the cocoa farm. One person's story and question flowed into the next. I'm privileged, but I'm not Batman's alter ego Bruce Wayne by any means. In the 16 years of travel covered in this book, at times I earned a poverty wage, once I was unemployed, but mostly I earned a solid but very unpredictable middle-class income. Yet I received an education. I have access to health care. I have not known hunger or war, nor have my wife and kids. There are privileges beyond financial ones. Being a straight, middle-class, able-bodied white dude in Muncie, Indiana, certainly comes with its own privileges. I've traveled to some of the poorest places on our planet, and there are people I wish I could forget, like the girl trash picker, Solo the slave, and Amilcar the garment worker, but I never will. These are people who live in circumstances that have often paralyzed me.